in wanting to understand your unique selling point, there's a particular modeling and structure that you have to follow. How did you decide on your business models? What happened for you to do, how did you decide on your various business models?
I think for us was the opportunity that there was a large contingency of the black middle class coming up. And, with your pockets increasing, you don't want to use the same product that never marginalizes, that never increases. It was 20 Rand 2012, it's still 20 Rand today. So it was seeing that opportunity and then seeing that even at a higher price range, we could still exist.
Yeah. Taryn?
Business models, like business plans, are constantly evolving. They shift every few months, every few years as your business develops. Who knew we were going to be in a recessive economy today? Who knew that I would be tiering product ranges down the price point ladder? So it's constantly evolving, it's constantly shifting, and you as the person behind the brand has got to be moving with the times. You've got to evolve and change with the market conditions. So our business plan, as I said, was a low fixed cost model where we could outsource our manufacturing and our conversion to pack part of the supply chain, and we focused on the warehousing, distribution, merchandising, marketing, post-sale communication as our key factor to keeping a loyal consumer base. Yeah. So while we do outsource quite a bit, what we do bring into the business in terms of expertise is on the upper end of the supply chain, where we focus on the consumer. So I might not focus on the manufacturing, but I focus on the consumer. And we do a lot of education. We do a lot of training. We do a lot of workshops. I go into Edgar's stores and I train Edgar's staff. We do the same with what we can at Clicks. We do a lot of training in sorbet salons. So you can see how I'm focusing the business model more towards we're quite customer centric, and that's just how we've managed to survive. Also, if you're self-funding, good luck in finding the money to build your own factory. That ain't easy. So your bootstrapping efforts, your ability to achieve a loan or an investor, whether it be a silent angel investor or a corporate company or a government sector, that loan's not for free. Number one, good luck in getting it. It's a very hard process. That loan's not for free. There are very few grants out there for young entrepreneurs. The loan has got to be repaid. So you've got to be selling at a hard, aggressive pace in order to repay your loans. So be very cautious when you take on loan structures. Let your business model work to what you have, rather than running yourself into millions of rands worth of debt and then you liquidate and you feel that you failed, which is what no entrepreneur wants to do. And by the way, the success rate of South African businesses reaching year 10 is 1 out of 10 businesses started in South Africa will reach year 10 profitability. So you've really got to be very cautious. Know your USP. If you're bootstrapping, bootstrap phase by phase by phase. Don't take on a 5 million Rand loan if you can't repay it. So you need to be quite practical.
Yeah, that's actually quite hectic. Prof, no, that's very hectic because I don't know. Hey, hi, come. No, it's hard. It's very difficult, especially as someone who's trying to establish themselves as an entrepreneur as well. It's very difficult. I would like to know, Prof, specifically from you. Since you research on such things and are very passionate about these sort of projects and businesses, are you planning on starting a product range, Prof?
I want to talk to you about that first.
I think you'll just have to hear it with the rest of us. Yeah. Are you, Prof?
Yeah, this is interesting. Taryn was just asking me when I was sitting there. So I'm sure you saw that I was listening attentively because they are the experts in marketing and mine is on the scientific side. But I am actually considering, but Taryn will talk, we'll talk with my sisters here and see what we can do together. But it is something that I am considering. I think the reasons why I would like to do that, firstly, as an academic and a scientist, we need to, for those of you who are at university and studying or doing chemistry, I met a few of you, you know, if you are in an academic sector, they say you either publish or perish, meaning you've got to do research and publish. But as South Africans, we need to start being innovative. Our research has to be relevant to our population. And our research has to focus on our needs as South Africans. If you are in engineering and you come from, say, a rural area, you need to find out how are you going to make it easy for the villagers to get water, okay? Because you know that that's a problem. How are we going to use the sun to create electricity? So from my point of view as a dermatologist and the work and the enormous work that I've done, I want to translate that into innovation. What's the point of having all this knowledge that I have about hair and the chemicals and what's good and what's not bad if it does not translate into innovation, into business, into, of course, partnering with my other colleagues who are experts in any areas. So the answer is yes. Okay. I am I am looking at that, and because I understand the science of hair. I understand the products, the chemicals, what works, what doesn't work, and we'll do studies and scientific studies to show that you know, whatever compounds, like they have also done, you know, they test the products, they do studies, they also use adequate concentrations, because what she was mentioning, reps, that a product will say it's got whatever, argan oil, or it's got coconut oil or jojoba oil. These are products or that are humectants that moisturize the hair. But then they are expensive. These ingredients are expensive. But then you need to know that it must have a minimum of, say, 5% per 10 mils for it to be effective. So that's the science that we need. So yeah, watch out the space there. Things will be coming.
We're actually really looking forward to your product line, Prof. We really are. Now, it's a personal question now. Because it's going to be a very personal question, because I'm a black woman. I feel like there are many challenges as black women in this particular country that we have, beyond just the violence and whatnot. But I want to take it to business. Have there been any challenges that you've faced as black women in business in the country, as well as research, Prof? I think we would also like to have that dimension and understand that dimension. But just to start off, just from the business side, has there been any challenges that you guys have faced in building and expanding your businesses?
Yes.
I think let's start with Taryn. Taryn gave an emphatic yes.
When you get into retail, you realize that it's run by white Afrikaner males. And when you get into distribution side of your supply chain, you realize that it's run by white Jewish males. So you inevitably are the only person of color in the room, or you're the only female in the room. So you get quite accustomed to that, and I think you've got to have very hard skin to be able to work in the cosmetics industry in a highly competitive market where you're not seeing a hell of a lot of representation of African females. And you've got to realize that you might be that one at the table, and it's your job to bring another lady to the table. And you've got to pass it down, and you've got to pass it up. That's what I found. And there's a lot of education that we have to do with those senior corporate heads. If I go, I won't mention the retailer's name, they're a very famous South African supermarket chain, and I go and I'll meet Frikkie and Hendrik and Fani, and we'll have a long conversation. They're quite fascinated by why don't I speak with a Cape Townian accent, and I say, well, because I'm not from Cape Town. You know, the assumptions are being made at a high pace with Fani and Frikkie. They are assuming a lot of things about who I am and where I come from just based on the fact that I'm a mixed-race female sitting at this table. So immediately there, you need a very tough skin to be able to deal with that and just cleanly cut it out of the business equation. Then you go on to realizing, okay, education lesson number 1 has to kick in when Frikkie turns around to tell you that 120 Rand is about all that this African female consumer can spend on her skin, her hair, her toothpaste, and her face cream. And he thinks that my products are at 99 Rand just too much. She can't afford it. So I then have to start on informing Frikkie on the power and the power of the purse of the African female consumer, and how she is spending 4 times as much as her Caucasian counterpart on her wig, her braid, her natural hair, her scalp, her skin. So you do a lot of information sharing with people who are very naive about what this consumer category looks like or does. So you're breaking down lots of different barriers when you're dealing in the cosmetics industry with people who have legacies of apartheid still lingering in their mindset about what you do. I've had people say to me that there would be no point in providing, like, I think at one point I wanted to do skincare and we wanted to do herbal toothpaste, and he said, but why? You know, black girls just use charcoal to clean their teeth. I said, that's retail 2020. You are still having these conversations in boardrooms today. So you need to be very aware that you're an agent of change when you're going into this sector. You're going to do a lot of education. You're going to do a lot of sharing. You're going to do a lot of breaking down of barriers in order to trade successfully. And it's exciting. You know, you got to jump on that challenge. You can't be overwhelmed by it.
And yes, I think the challenges do exist, but I think there's more advantages because of our skin color than disadvantages. A lot of people that I speak to tell me, but Pick n Pay are sharks. But it depends how you negotiate your entry point into Pick n Pay, because these big retailers have got a responsibility to empower us, especially as black women. So we need to be enlightened. We need to know our power, one, own our power, and when we go there, don't go with, you know, our tails in between our thighs, as if we are begging, because we add to their BEE scoring. They actually need us. But, you know, you need to have a USP, that's one. You need to have innovation, as Prof said, and it needs to be clearly tabulated on your marketing plan or business plan. So to say that this is why I need to be in a Pick n Pay store, and even payment terms, we get paid this story of 90 days. For us, it doesn't exist. Every 15 days is payday. So it's how you sell yourself across. It's how you put yourself across. It's how, because a lot of them, there's money. Even Messmart, there's money everywhere. Even Sasol deals a lot with chemicals. The Siaka funds, they are numerous. You just need to know how to position yourself. You just need to be innovative. You know, don't do the same thing as L'Oreal is doing, because then there's no need for both of you. So, you know, find your niche, find your spot, and go in there very confidently, and yeah, onwards, upwards.
Prof, any challenges faced as a black woman?
Yes, yeah, no, definitely. You know, as I mentioned, the importance of role modeling, because now we know we've got our colleagues there, we've been there, we can ask them, we can consult them, And if anyone wants to do dermatology or specialize, I'm here. You can contact me. Or you want to do medicine, I can do that. So challenges when you are in the first, there's nobody. And I mean, with us coming from the apartheid era and racism, it was really difficult because I had to fend for myself. I had no mentorship. But that did not deter me. I told myself, I am going to be a dermatologist and I'm going to be the professor. And I'm not just going to be a dermatologist. I want to be the best of the dermatologists. Yeah. So but that takes determination, hard work, okay? And also, we mustn't play the victim mentality, okay? We need to move on from that and say, oh, no, I was sidelined, this favorite. No, do the best that you can. Find a mentor. Take the action. Be proactive and look for people in your field. And if they close their doors, move on to the next one. And people will recognize you. And of course, they always say, if you start anything and if you're good at it, and if they start moaning and they'll start complaining, saying negative things, critical, but they always say dogs always bark after a moving car, not a stationary car. So that's very, and it doesn't matter where you come from, whether you come from a family with no parents, or you are poor, or you're struggling, it is about you. And associate and mix with positive people. If you meet friends at varsity and you find that, this one is pulling me down, move on, just dump that person and surround yourself with positive people that are going to improve you. And don't compete. Competition doesn't work. You need to complement one another and enhance each other's skills, because you will be good in something and somebody else is good at something. And can you imagine now if you harness all those together, then you become the best that you can be. Yeah.
We can give a round of applause for that.